was waiting for it up there.
Oh, no. You're good. There you go.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of ATS Live. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name's Robbie.
I am Holly.
And tonight we get to talk to you, kind of a spinoff from last week, a little more in detail. We're going to discuss things, how to have a successful trucking career. You know, the driver who's looking for, you know, the quick dollar, looking for, you know, do this for 6 months or a year. This episode isn't for you. If you're looking how to be successful long term, this episode is directly for you. Holly?
I was just gonna say, he is definitely touching on exactly what, we're not looking for, and, the opposite of what we are looking for is, the person that is looking for, long-term career path, a very good support team behind you. Hey, Chad, by the way.
I see you, Chad.
Hey. And, just a place where you can call home, and there's, that doesn't just happen. You've got to work for it, and your company that you're working for has to work for it as well. So it's definitely a team effort to make each other's careers successful, and that's what we're here to talk about today.
Absolutely. Chad, I missed you last week. I saw you, you must have watched it after hours last week, and I saw a comment on there, but missed you during the episode, so good to have you back. So yeah, a couple of things. We're going to say this a couple of times during this episode is, if you're watching this at midnight or 2 a.m. or tomorrow or whenever, and you've got a comment or a question on something we're covering or not covering, throw it in the comments because we do monitor that, and we'll be able to come back and answer those questions.
Let's sneak in.
Yep.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
adjust here. There we go.
Let's see.
All of your,
Oh, look at all the
all of your
comments.
comments are right
I
there.
was gonna say I was feeling lonely.
Yeah.
Well, hello
Hey.
everybody.
Hey, Luis, good to see you on there. Carlisle, Jerry's back. Yep. Wow.
There you go.
That was quick. Good. And we like the comments on here because we can see how many people are watching, but we don't know who it is. So, one thing I'm going to throw out there over the next few weeks here, we're going to be asking you, the driver, what it is that you want covered in these episodes. What's important to you? We do a good job, but we're looking at it from the office view. What can best benefit the drivers, and to hear it directly from you would be awesome.
Yes, that helps give us some, content that is directly affecting you, not just what we're coming up with and spinning off with. We want to definitely have it, directly impact you because you're our, direct number one and our direct audience, and hopefully our new, drivers that are going to be a part of our team, whether it's now or in the future. We definitely want to answer your questions and let you know who we are and why we want to be there for you. And again, that word support you, definitely as part of our team.
Jason, I see a roll tide there. I'll make sure Joe gets that message. So yeah, just to jump right into what it takes to have a successful trucking career. What John and I talked about last week was the stability. Don't make knee-jerk decisions, and try to have a stable work history.
And that's not always easy. Not to cut Robbie off.
Yeah, no.
I'm pretending like I'm Joe. Sorry, Joe. He's probably watching me. He's like, hey. But no, I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, and we know not firsthand, but secondhand is hearing you guys call in and kind of vent to us about these are the reasons that I'm leaving, or this is the reason, and you just want to get out of there and be done with them. And we know it's not easy based on what we're hearing every day to always do that, and sometimes you just can't handle it and you got to get out of there. But at the same time, you got to pay your dues and just get that longevity, because that's what good employers are looking for, to be truthful.
Absolutely, yeah. And so let's say you've paid your dues, you've spent a year with the company, and you're looking to make that next decision. Do your research. Talk to us recruiters, talk to drivers, look at the reviews, look at online, all those things. And Chad, I see your question there. I'll come back to it here in just a minute. I got a thought that I don't want to lose. So, while you're doing this, when you first start out in the industry, a lot of times there's those bumps, there's those mistakes that you just don't know what you don't know until you know. And so you make a backing mistake. You do this, you do that. But try to limit those when you first start, and then keep that clean safety record. The moving violations, the major moving violations especially, but those are all things that are going to help you in your career. I do want to answer Chad's question real quick. So, Chad, we don't have any intention on anything being mandated. What the DOT does down the road, we can't control that. So.
Hello, Joseph, by the way. You did a shout out.
Yeah.
Haven't seen a Joe Gearing yet.
Nope, not yet. He'll be on here, or he'll be on here later. So, William Hudson, a company that will hire you. I'm not following the statement, but
Call in and we'll let you know who we can hire and whatnot. So.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm just gonna have put it out there right now. Our recruiting email is recruiting@atsinc.com, and that goes to all of us recruiters. So that's not just one particular recruiter. So yeah, I mean, what are some other things that drivers can do to be successful, Holly?
So like, kind of going off what you were saying with, the longevity and also the safety record, even if you have, things that are keeping you from coming in now, always make sure that you touch base with us and make sure that you've got it marked in your calendar. This is when I'm going to be eligible, and keep that conversation and an open dialogue with us, because I know personally myself, I'm not just going to shut the door on you and say, oh, we don't want you because you've got a violation now and forget you, you're not good enough. I mean, in the future, you're going to be in guidelines eventually, depending on, what our guidelines are at that time. And our guidelines, that constantly, but our guidelines do change from time to time. So even if you're out of guidelines now, you could be in guidelines the next month because they've changed. So it's good, again, to keep that open dialogue and know that we're not just gonna say it's a dead end and shut the door in your face because you've got too many violations or too many incidents now. You will be in guidelines, so you just gotta make sure that you're keeping that door open and keeping in touch with us.
And that's important. When you've defined the company that you want to expand your career with, and let's say you don't meet their guidelines. Let's say it's ATS and you don't meet our guidelines. Yeah, it's important to find out what it's going to take to get to within those guidelines, and then work towards it, and continue to communicate with your recruiter. Whether that, like I said, whether that's at ATS or somewhere else, if you've identified that company that's going to be your long-term career company, hopefully that's ATS, but no matter where it is, this is really an episode for drivers, no matter what you're doing, whether you're coming to ATS or somewhere else. It's how you can be successful. I see Chad answered Marv's question. Marv, yes, we do have cameras in the trucks, and they are outward facing only. And that's one of the support things that we have.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Actually, I was going to have you touch on that because I was going to touch on the permits.
Okay. No worries. So yeah, Marv, that's a great question. So the outward facing cameras have been very successful in mitigating liability. There's so many instances where the driver said of the four-wheeler said that the truck driver did this.
Yes.
When we can go back, and these event recorders, the Linux cameras, are able to prove that you were not at fault, and it saves big lawsuits. But more importantly to this episode and what we're speaking about is it saves drivers' careers.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we're going to touch on as far as what we do as a company to support you, the driver. And I think Holly was going to touch on the next thing here.
So permits, for example, for like our oversized loads, for example, we do all of that in-house, and that's another subject, that a factor that helps support you and your career here, whether you're moving up or you're staying steadfast in a specific classification with our oversized freight. We do all that in-house, and that you've got that constant connection again, and that open dialogue between the different departments. So everybody's working together for you. And I actually started off in permits, so I know firsthand that, we work directly with the drivers and, with you to say, hey, I've got your permit, I'm sending it over. So we're working with you again to know that we're there for you, and you never have to wonder, oh crap, am I gonna get my permit, or where's my permit at, or is it correct? Or if you do find something that is incorrect, we're there right away to help you, to correct it and send you out a new one. So, I know, like I said, firsthand that that's a department that we had a lot of good driver support in, so.
Yeah, and that's, bring the mic closer, both of you. Yes, I can do that. Yeah, so Holly touched on it there, and I'm gonna take the focus away from, what overall, and this is a moment that I'm gonna talk about ATS and why ATS is different is, Holly just touched on it, the openness, the teamwork. There is an office full of people that is striving to make our drivers successful. And that includes the in-house safety department, the in-house permit department. We've got a pitcher program. So, and this is going to be more geared towards the flatbed side, which Holly's going to talk a little bit here in a minute, just about the different levels and what it takes to move up. But let's say you're new to flatbed. If you've driven dry van for a year or 20 years and you come in as a new flatbed driver and you're not 100% sure when you leave orientation, you're really confident, but there's some questions sometimes. We've got a picture program where you've got support, where if you've got a question about a load, you can take pictures of it, send it back, and you've got the support to tell you, you did this right, you did this wrong, looks good, here's what I would do differently, but you've got that support constantly. Let's see, the next that I use now. I have till January before I can actually work with ATS. Well, Jason, stay in touch with us. We'll get you over here in January. So, yeah, I actually just talked to a driver today that he's out of guidelines till March, and we have continuous conversations. We're going to contact every month, and when we get to February, we'll get the ball rolling to get him in. So, Jason, same with you. Stay in contact with whoever your recruiter is.
Yes.
And come December, we'll get the ball rolling to get you in here. So.
Yeah, even if you think you're bothering your recruiter, you're not. I mean, I'd rather have you call in and remind me that you're coming around the corner, and that remind me that you're so excited to be here, because that again keeps that door open, and it keeps reminding us both that, hey, that's coming up, and now we can start the process to get you over here, because it went from 2 months to 1 month. Well, now it's next week, and we got your flight booked to get you here, or your rental car, or whatever it may be. But yeah, like Robbie was saying with the safety, the permits, and that picture program. We're not just here to put you through orientation and shove you out the door and say good luck. We want to help you succeed so that you're successful instantly and long term, and even if there's bumps along the way, we're going to be here for you. We're not in the business of just burning and turning people and drivers. We want you to be here long term to help be part of our family, because running through people isn't ever a good business model for anybody. And obviously a lot of you have probably experienced that in other companies, and that's why you're looking to get out of there and come to a better place, whether it's here or, like Robbie was touching on earlier, anywhere else. We want to give you this advice, because even if you don't start your great driving experience here and you start it somewhere else, well, then you've already got some of those keys to success, and even better to get you started off here, because you're already got a head start.
Yeah, and Chad, Chad wrote, so if they don't fall within the guidelines right now, will you contact the person if they do fall within the new guidelines? So that's a great question, Chad. Mm-hmm. Well, I touched on it a little bit, but they're a little bit different what you're saying. So here's a prime example of how, Chad. So within the last 2 months, I'm sure everybody's aware and have seen the episode where we announced the new pet policy. And we had a number of company drivers that were, in our guidelines, but they had their fur baby, and they weren't leaving them. So we have tags, what we call, on files. So we tag those files as pet policy, And so when the pet policy changed, we were able to go back, contact those drivers, and a number of those drivers have since joined us. And we started the communications with more of them that are actually happy where they're at, and we're not going to try to pull them away from where they're at if they're happy, but we've at least opened the door. So if the day comes, they're looking for an upgrade, now they know that this is an option. So yes, we will contact them if the new guidelines dictate that.
Yeah, I've been going back through my database consistently, and there was a gal of mine, Sage, actually, a new shout out, and she called me today and she's like, I'm sorry I missed your emails and your phone calls, but somebody else had said that you now have a pet policy. And then I went back through and seen you've been trying to contact me, and I'm like, yeah, I've been trying to contact you at least once a week because you and I had a great relationship built up, and the only thing that was keeping you from coming here was the pet policy, because she didn't want to do a lease. But now that we've got that pet policy, we can bring her on over. So she's like, all right, I'm gonna get back rolling then with getting that process started. So we do keep a great database and try to keep our tabs on y'all. But like Robbie was saying, don't be afraid to pick that phone up and give us a ring and say, hey, when am I in guidelines again? Or have your guidelines changed?
Yep, Chad, you were one on the pet policy, but you've been here 6 years, so that you just was the ability to move into that. So yeah, no, that was awesome. I can't believe how fast the time goes. We try to limit this to 30 minutes because we're trying to be respectful of your time.
You won't stop doing this.
One of us will. And we just have so much fun doing this. So yeah, Chad, I was wrong, 7 years.
Robbie was wrong. Stop the recording.
Well, now I got to go check the calendar, Chad. And thanks for that. And so we try to be respectful of, we understand your time's limited. So we're gonna try to move forward with some of this other stuff. Did you want to talk about the different classes in the flatbed division?
For the flatbed specialized, as we were kind of touching on with the permits and the pictures, sending them in and whatnot for the loads, for securement and whatnot, that all entails and is underneath the umbrella of the classifications or the tiers or whatever you want to call them, the different levels that you can build your way up when you get into that oversized. And it's available to you right away. It's not like we bring you in and say, all right, now you got to wait a year, you got to wait 6 months. As soon as that oversized freight's available, you can start hauling it within your classification. And most people come on at a class 4, meaning that they can haul up to 55,000 pounds and up to 10 feet wide. And then it grows from there to a class 3, which is the next level up, and then a class 2 and a class 1. And how you get from level to level is you've got to haul, I believe is it 5 to 6 loads or around 5 loads per your specific class that you're in, and then you test out into the next level above you. And then it starts over again, where now within that classification, you keep on hauling loads, and then you'll test out again once you reach that specific number of loads.
Yep, so it's a minimum of 5 different oversized loads in each class. Holly touched on the 10 wide legal height and 80 feet long for our entry level. That's our entry level for freight. Here's an important thing though. So it's 5 oversized loads, different oversized loads at each class, and a comfort level. We're not going to move you up just because you've completed those if you're not comfortable.
Right. It's at your own pace.
Yep. And by the time you're doing class 1 freight here, you're going to be doing 14.5 wide, 14.5 tall, and 95 feet long. The great part about ATS is that you have the ability here to continue on. We've got a very large share of the wind energy contract in the nation. And then we've got our heavy haul fleet, which is all 4-axle trucks. And they go anything from 3-axle RGN all the way up to a 28-axle dual lane trailer. So a company that you can come in and you can start out pulling dry van, and one day in your career, if you're thinking career, you can go from dry van all the way up to a 28-axle dual lane trailer, all within one company.
Yeah, you've got a great scheme of a career path here if you decide that you're going to embark on it. It's all about what you want to do. Nobody's gonna push you, like Robbie said, in like a bad way. I mean, like in a good way, they'll support you and push you if you want to be pushed and want to be challenged. But if this is your career, you get to decide what you do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of things you can do. And Dominique, I see
Yeah, I
class
just
one
seen
A,
that.
yep, one A, so you were, most likely doing blades, I believe that is, and, I think you're coming back next month, if I remember correctly, so, happy to have you on here every week and learning and sharing and being helpful to other drivers. So a big thing to do when you're looking at going through these classes, there's a couple of things. Number one, be consistent with your driver manager. Be consistent on what your goals are and continue to let them know what your comfort level is. Number two, be flexible.
Yes.
You know, when we talk about being home every 2 or 3 weeks, you know, if you're a driver that, you know, when it hits 2 weeks, I want to go home, but there's that class 3 load that's going to give you another load to be able to class up, and it might get you home in 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks. A little bit of flexibility in that is super important for the long-term picture.
Yeah, that's what's gonna define you as, you know, staying complacent or moving on up.
Yep.
It's completely up to you. I mean, nobody's gonna, you know, dog you either way. I mean, of course, your fleet manager would love it if, you know, you move up because they love it when they see that success. But like Robbie was saying, have those conversations and make sure that you're being vocal about where you want to be at ATS and what it is that you're looking for, you know, in defining your career path here.
Yep, what your priorities are.
Yes.
And I want to get into blades, still waiting. LOL.
Well, that's one thing we didn't quite touch on, moving up through the different classifications. On average, it's about 2 to 3 years. However, we've seen plenty of people that have done it in a year, but it does mainly depend on when that oversized freight is available and your comfort level. So, and I'm sure that a lot of people can attest here in the chat, you know, what their progress level was, but those are the two main factors in determining how long it's actually going to take.
Yep, absolutely. And, you know, the freight availability. So just because you're a class 2 driver does not mean the next 5 loads you're going to get are all going to be class 2 loads. Freight availability plays into it huge, as Chad can attest to. And then also, I don't want to call you out, Chad, but safety plays into that too. You know, what about ATS leasing? Carlisle, we're going to get to that here in just a second as soon as I kind of finish up this thought here. So, you know, if you're moving up in the classes and you get close to, you know, let's say you're a blade driver and something happens, there's a big moving violation or an accident or, you know, something, obviously that's going to set that time frame back. So that's another important thing to be conscious of. I talked about it at the beginning about, you know, being conscious of it when you're first starting out. Well, once those first couple bumps are out of the way in your first 6 months to a year and you're on your way, then it's even more important to have that, maintain that continuous safe miles. Hey, Noah.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that's chiming in on the chat. That support is great, not obviously just for us, but for, you know, anybody else where you're with us or not with us, for you guys to be part of that chat and kind of feed off from each other. So thank you.
Let's see.
Did we want to talk about leasing right now? Do we want to save that for the end, or what are you thinking, Robbie?
I'm just reading Chad's comment. Chad, we're good. You and I talked a lot, so I still think I'm right on the 6 years, though.
Naturally.
Getting you over height will take the longest to get to move to class 1. Absolutely, Dominique. That's and you touched on it, and your next comment touches on it. Have to be patient.
Yes.
The overheight, getting those loads to be able to qualify, that absolutely is kind of the thing that everybody looks for. So
yeah, it's a big characteristic.
Yep. Chad's got 2 years safe, now class 1.
Nice.
We're gonna talk, Chad, about this blade stuff. I don't remember where we left off, but I'll call you tomorrow. Let's see, there was, what about ATS leasing? Carlisle Mark. That's a great question that Holly's going to talk about a little bit.
Yes, I can address that. So that's also, again, part of, you know, underneath the umbrella, again, of how to be successful, you know, in general, as a successful driver. If you decide that you want to go with being an independent contractor versus a company driver, to be successful as a lease driver, you're going to have a great start here at ATS because of how we have set up, or how our leasing department has set up the leases, and it really is set up for you to be successful. They're actually taking a risk by having our drivers come in, putting no money down, and not credit checking you, and then setting you off on your way and supporting you to be successful. And the return on that is always going to be greater for us, which is why we put ourselves out there and put you in these trucks without pretty much any questions asked, other than obviously you need to be approved with your work history and safety and whatnot. But we set you up so you can succeed, because we know in the long run that return is going to be great for us, because we're going to get a great driver who's staying here because they're successful and they're making money and ultimately happy with their career choice as an independent contractor here. And in a lot of other places, I'm not bad mouthing any places, but a lot of places that I hear about through you guys, again, that call in, is that, yeah, they just threw me in a truck after a month. It was great until it wasn't great. Well, you've got those factors that all add up and then don't add up. I mean, you need to have that experience here to get into our leases, because we want you to get your feet wet and, get a hold of how the freight is and how your lifestyle is out in the truck. And when you're first starting out in trucking, you don't have all that under wraps right away. Like with anything in life, most people don't. So throwing you in a truck and putting that weight on your shoulders is not a good business model. And that's why we do it differently here, because we know that it works here for us, for our drivers, and ultimately that's what helps you be successful.
Yeah, we kind of put our money where our mouth is with our initial leases. We do either a 1 year or 2 year lease depending on the division, and it is risk-free. That comes with completion bonuses, purchase options at the end. My biggest piece of advice for that is make sure you're comparing apples to apples. And what I mean by that is, with our lease, there's no trailer rental or maintenance fees. We take care of plates and permits.
Yes.
And
Build fuel surcharge, you get 100%.
yeah, and it's the whole package, where other companies might talk about lower costs. But then at the end of the day, there's lower revenue.
And a high percentage. I always get that. Well, your percentage is lower than this or that I've heard. And it's like, well, what else are they taking from you?
Yeah, I heard today there was a driver telling me they were charging him $400 for trailer rental fees, and just crazy numbers. And so that would be my biggest piece of advice, Carlisle, is make sure you're comparing apples to apples and looking at the whole picture. At the end of the year, you're not going to be writing extra checks here for your FHUT or any of that stuff. It's all part of the expenses in the lease. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, what our drivers are making, they're actually making.
Yes, more money goes into your pocket here.
Dominique, love the leasing program. Good to hear, Dominique.
A triple love.
Yeah. I'll say it again for people that are watching this, in a truck stop, 2:00 in the morning, tomorrow, Friday, the weekend. Don't be afraid to throw your questions in there. We do monitor it, and we're happy to answer the questions or reach out.
Call us. I mean, you can call any of us recruiters and get your questions answered that you didn't get out tonight. So
Chad, that's a tough question. Don't we charge on the lease side just to scan in documents? Do you know what, Chad? Good question. I will personally get that answer and have it posted on here by 8:00 tomorrow morning. Under Chad's comment.
Just like that.
I think we're caught up here.
I don't think we missed anything.
No. So again, I haven't seen much on here as far as suggestions. I really want to see what you want to hear about. We, as you can tell, we like hearing our own voice. So we love doing this. We love having these sessions. We love interacting. And even afterwards, we love seeing the comments, the other views. Eric Lindemeyer says he believes it's $10 a month. Eric and Chad, Eric, I appreciate you replying. Chad, I will get, if it's $10 a month, that's what I'm going to reply tomorrow, but I'm going to reply one way or another. So,
I was
Oh,
gonna
there
say,
it is.
I remember it was on our sheets and then they took it off from the sheets a while back, so, but that sounds right, the 1125.
Chad, you want me to keep going with questions that I already know most of the answers to? Absolutely. What do you guys do for Driver Appreciation Month? Great question, Noah, and
All kinds of things.
all kinds of things. It's different every year. I think they got some really big plans this year, but I don't think we're allowed to let the cat out of the bag just yet. So,
No.
so
And I almost might have said, or sorry, suggesting what I thought it was, so it's a good thing you said that.
so
That'll be done.
we're gonna wait, but Noah, tune in upcoming weeks, and we will be making an announcement on that, and then we might do a little special ATS live the week of. So, what did you guys do last year? I don't remember. I know we did some. There were some giveaways, and then every driver got something, and Noah.
There was a prize of almost $200.
Yeah.
Prize of almost 200, and then there was each driver got something as well, and
There was a bunch of games and trivia
Yep.
and giveaways.
Yeah, and they do the code for the clothing as well,
Yep.
so.
so Noah, I'm gonna get the exact details on that, and instead of just calling you and letting you know, I'm gonna come back on here and I'm gonna write a response on here tomorrow morning.
Now, Robbie, feel free to reach out to marketing. We have all the plans set up.
Clothes, gift cards, etc., and then company did drawing. Paul bought a load of shirts.
What kind of load of shirts, Robbie?
They can read the comments. This is so much fun. I appreciate all of you for joining us. Holly, did we miss anything?
We touched on the picture program, the safety department, the cameras, permits, and I believe you hit your bullet points as well. So, yeah, if we missed anything or you guys have any more information that you'd like to add, because because you're out there as far as what it takes to be successful, like Robbie was saying, don't hesitate to, call us or, email in and we can touch on it for next time for sure.
Lewis says, would love to see more in-depth training on tarping and all the different types of tarps that are used. Note taken, Lewis. I worked with you, so I know who you are, but I will pass that along, and maybe us as a recruiting department can get a little more information on exactly what that is. So this year I want a fire pit, 100-inch outdoor projector setup, and outdoor grill tools. Wow.
Mint.
Chad, you're making me sit there with your Yeti cup. Did you get that, by the way? I know you did. So
We don't leave bandit.
yes. So just a couple of things in closing to kind of recap is, the biggest points for me was, stability in your companies and clean safety record. Those two things are going to go a long ways to opening up options for you as you go through your trucking career here.
And that relationship with your dispatcher, fleet manager, making sure that you're communicating with them and you just keeping that open dialogue, because you guys are on a team, you feed off from each other, and at the end of the day, it is it's your business, it's a business relationship, and you just want to make sure that it's working the best for both of you. Whether you're here or anywhere else, you definitely want to carry that with you.
Yeah, important final message here. We do want to hear what you want to hear about in these future episodes.
Yes.
And maybe we can talk Joe into doing some prize giveaways if we use your idea. So
Spin the wheel.
Yeah, to be determined. So listen, I appreciate everybody joining us for 34 minutes of ATS Live, and you have a good night.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.